An investigation by the University of California, ProPublica, and PBS Frontline found Adelson may have violated the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act when he instructed a top executive to give $700,000 to a Macau legislator who aided his company's efforts there. Officials are also probing possible ties between Adelson's company, Las Vegas Sands, and Chinese organized crime. He's given tens of millions of dollars to Newt Gingrich, Mitt Romney, and other Republican causes, and has spoken of spending upwards of $100 million to defeat President Obama in the next election. Stephen, lay out exactly what you found.
Well, this is a story, and it's a fascinating story, about a man, Sheldon Adelson, who has a casino in Las Vegas and decides to go where the real money is, which turns out to be Macau. It's a peninsula right on the edge of China. Macau, like Hong Kong, is a place that used to be another colony. It was a Portuguese colony. It becomes part of China. In the mainland China, gambling is illegal. Not only is gambling illegal, but you can't collect gambling debts, so there are no casinos in China. The Chinese go to Macau to gamble, and when I say go, I mean in large numbers. The handle of gambling for Las Vegas is $8 billion a year, Macau $32 billion a year. So in about 2001 or so, the Chinese open up to American companies coming in. Adelson is among the very first to seize this opportunity, even though, in fact, Macau is a notoriously difficult place to do business. The gambling has historically involved Chinese organized crime. That's how the gamblers get from the mainland to Macau. So you have to kind of deal with that. The politics is very tricky. But he got a gaming license and set to work building casinos, and everything was going swimmingly until the fall of 2008 when the American economy collapsed. And by the way, the Chinese suddenly cut off visas to Macau, significantly sort of scaled them back. So suddenly, all the money he borrowed to build this magnificent sort of casino empire in Macau, is a huge debt, can't pay it. And they need to raise money. And in order to do that, they need some favorable decisions from the local officials, local authorities in Macau, and they have a very bad relationship with those people. And so they hire as outside counsel a man named Lionel Alves, local lawyer, who also happens to be in the legislature, also happens to be a member of what's called the Executive Council, which advises the chief executive of Macau. And over the next few months, the things that are standing in their way start to disappear. They want to sell some apartment buildings separately. The government has said they can't do that. Suddenly, after Mr. Alves is hired, a couple months later, they're allowed to. They don't actually sell them. They're still fighting to sell them individually, but there was a big sort of, boost to their cash position. Second thing was they wanted a ferry concession to deliver the gamblers right to their doorstep. And the courts in Macau, there are courts, have been saying, we're going to take this concession away from you. We're going to give it to somebody else. The chief executive suddenly intervened at the last minute, right before the final court ruling, and said, nope, Sands keeps it. Court ruling over, everything moot, you guys win. That was crucial because they were trying to raise $2.5 billion on the Hong Kong stock market in an IPO, and they had said if they didn't keep this concession, they might not raise the money. So what happens? IPO goes off, they raise the $2.5 billion, company saved. By the way, Sheldon Adelson at that point flattened his back, having put $1 billion of his own money to save his own company. Company takes off like a rocket. He now is $25 billion. No man in America, no American taxpayer has made more money during the Obama administration than Sheldon Adelson.
Number one on his agenda is strong support for the Israeli government, and particularly conservative wing of Israeli political parties. He has close ties to Netanyahu, and he is generally considered a hawk on Middle East issues. He opposes a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And Gingrich had been, far more outspoken. Romney is strong on these issues, too. And, he is now backing Romney. His overriding concern is to defeat President Obama. He thinks Obama is weak on Israeli issues, Middle East issues. He also has publicly castigated him for his economic policies. He described them, I think, to Forbes as socialist-style economic policies, which he's worried about, continuing for another 4 years. So he's dedicated to defeating Obama. He's also throwing a lot of money, tens of millions of dollars, into other groups, outside groups, that are playing big in trying to help Republicans win the Senate and keep the House.